Today on the Podski, we're taking a look at the Forgotten Royal Rumble as we review Royal Rumble 2004, and we kick off a brand new weekly segment of the show with Fan of the Week. The Podski starts now.
The Podski with John Baker. For over 1 year, the revolutionary force in audio entertainment.
Ooh, yeah!
Brother,
Let me talk to ya! Freak out, freak out!
I just had an out-of-body experience!
Insane in the membrane!
Brother,
Yeah! And I'm here for only one reason, and that's to take it to the limit, yeah!
somebody stop the damn man!
I'm living on the edge.
Who is your daddy?
Hello and welcome to the Podski. I'm your host, Johnny Bake Show, and joining me ringside, we got Teddy Mongoose and Justin Andretti. It is episode 82, and we're going to review the Forgotten Royal Rumble 2004, and it is officially Royal Rumble week, so we're going to get you all fired up for this weekend's Royal Rumble and officially get on the road to WrestleMania. And since it is Royal Rumble season, this is a good time to remind everybody, all of our listeners, that we're going to follow the road to WrestleMania 20 this year here on the Podski, as we're going to do Royal Rumble 2004 today. We're going to do No Way Out 2004 in a few weeks, and then we're going to cap it off with a review of WrestleMania 20 as we get closer to WrestleMania. So if you want to look ahead, you can always check it out on the socials at _Podski on Twitter and Instagram. They're going to be pinned to the top with the monthly show topics. So with that, we got our co-hosts, Teddy and Justin. How we doing, boys?
The toast of the coast is here. I'm ready to fuck. Let's go. Let's get right into it. Hey, before he even gets a chance to speak, I want to say something real quick. How are the numbers for your little Sting show you did the other week?
They're actually really good.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is neither one of you were even alive whenever Sting was Sting.
That is actually true. Actually, no, I was born during the 92 run.
You know what's great about I am very, very convinced. I would probably even lay money that JC didn't even know who Sting was until the WWE run.
No, he knew, because we were working at the grocery store together back in them days.
Oh, who's this cool? Who's this new guy with the cool paint? Who is that?
Dude, that was hotter heat than whenever you spit the I am the Mascardo El Dorado of mushrooms. I am the Salvatore Sincere of salamander sauce. Like, dude, that was woo, 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 woo.
Hey man,
woo,
man.
So,
Hey, I mean, not that I'm upset at all that you guys did a Surfer Sting show without the two people that grew up with Sting. Not that we would have had any perspective to give you about what it was like to be a fan of the secondary company and be a big Sting fan and have to tell everybody you know at school about all the WCW guys because nobody watched WCW at that point. Not that we have any perspective on all the toys that we bought growing up that nobody else had.
You didn't do any of that. That's all work.
you know what I do need to put over really quick, and this is a deep cut. Andretti, you might be hip to the game. John, you're a toy and merch nerd, so maybe you got it too. I am convinced that there was a point in time in my, pre-tens that I got the WCW magazine, and I absolutely wanted to get some sort of like foam scorpion. Did this exist? Am I crazy?
I think it did.
I think it did, yeah. You were going to collect all the foam stuff there for a while.
Yeah, that's that. And not like the thing about it is like, I don't really care about fingers, but the first ever thing that I got at a show was Bret Hart sunglasses and wristbands.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got an Undertaker urn, like, cause I wasn't allowed to buy a shirt. No, that wasn't it, John. This is Surfer Sting. Like, it's pink or it's blue. It's something like that. It might be plush.
I got a Sting from Finger.
No, it might have even been plush. And maybe I'm just making stuff up, but
this one. That's the only one.
that's a heck of a foam. Oh, dude, for the audio listeners, if you can't see, it is a bright yellow Surfer Sting, high top fade with a scowl on his face. Dude, that is something else.
That is awesome.
That is something else. Yeah, but then I got a Undertaker foam urn and a Tatanka foam tomahawk because I wasn't allowed to have enough money to buy an actual shirt, so I was only allowed like $6 or whatever. Maybe, yeah, dude. That I'm gonna look at this while you guys hit on your pontification point. But now that I got the microphone, why not take it and run with it? First off, thanks for having me again here, Johnny. Second, I am not here. Yeah, I am not here alone today. I am joined by good friend of the podcast and Podski top 100 man Minoru Suzuki here in his 16D vinyl figure form. Dude, look at that gold hair.
Oh, that's great.
John, I will send you a picture of this. You can put this up on the tubes for the people that do the streaming. This was a heck of a get, gentlemen. And so he's going to stand right over there next to my 16D Kenny Omega. And now that Okada's on his way out, I'm going to have to snag me a 16D Okada. I had that before. Whenever I cleared everything out, I got rid of it. But because those Japanese figures are so awesome, I'm going to need a piece of that. And speaking of, I do need to say really quick that we have discussed before the show began that we will be giving little snippets of moments in time in Japan to see where we are. We are in a very, very important time, folks. If you did not already know that some of the biggest stars in New Japan of the last 10 years, the greatest wrestler of possibly our lifetime, as well as the best wrestler in the world right now are both coming to America. And so my New Japan World consumption has considerably increased here. We did have a new beginning in, I believe it was Nagoya show over the weekend. I did not see it all. I did see the 8-man tag with Okada and who was Okada, Tanahashi, Ishii, and Makabe versus TMDK. We had Zack Sabre go over in that one. I believe that we are going to see Okada and company drop those 6-man belts at our next show coming up, and it's not against TMDK, is it? There, Andretti.
I don't think so. I can't remember who.
Is it the War Dogs?
Maybe.
Yeah, they have the title match coming up, and the fact that we saw Zack Sabre go over, you would have thought that it would have been TMDK, but I don't think that it is. I'd have to look at that. Anyway, I did see what was my favorite match of the entire week, and that was Ishimori versus the Great Okan in a ring fitness match. Folks, I know that it sounds hokey, but if you are into entertainment of any sort, please watch the Great Okan doing push-ups and knee bends and mountain climbers and up downs and burpees and all kinds of things. And look, dude, the thing about it is that me and Mrs. Mongoose we're on our get back right now, fighting off those Thanksgiving, Christmas calories. And so we've been doing circuit style stuff. And brother, after 90 seconds, I literally lay on the ground, sweating profusely and huffing and puffing the way that GOK did. And so he could have just been selling. But if he wasn't, been there, bro, I get it. But my God, dude, the way that he sold, just being so exhausted from not being in any kind of physical shape, was out of this world. And there was a title change at the very end of the show. Evil beat Tama Tonga. And I hate to say it, but I saw the results, and so I didn't watch the match. Yeah. I will at some point in time because it's Tama Tonga's last match in New Japan, but I did not need to finish that show with seeing Evil win that belt. That's all I got. I'll kick it over to you guys.
It's kind of what we were talking about before. Maybe we talked about this on here, or maybe we talked about it in the chat, but the issue with Evil is that when you put your main title on somebody, you got to be really careful with that, because now you've got to make that person credible for the rest of their career. And they're going to have an issue with that with Sonata, and they're going to have an issue with that with Evil that they're already dealing with. And there's other people too, man, where you got to be careful with that. You put your main title on somebody, you got to be prepared to treat them like they're a big star for the rest of their career, because look, Jinder Mahal, man, is another one. It's like, you threw Jinder in there. I don't even dislike Jinder Mahal. I know he's not fantastic. I don't even dislike the guy, but in the ring, but the guy was the champ, and because you put that belt on him, now he has to matter. And you get him in there with Seth Rollins. Jinder doesn't look good. He doesn't look good in that match. Rollins even couldn't get a great match out of him, and Rollins gets hurt in the match. And it's like, you got to be smarter than that. You got to be smarter than to put major titles on people that you're not going to present well forever. You know what I mean? So now you've got Sonata. What are you going to keep Sonata in the main events for the next 20 years, man? I mean, come on. You had to put the belt on Evil because you got to make Evil stay credible. That's why they had to do it. Yep. So it's New Japan is in a really interesting spot, like you said, man, and they've had to go through this before, where they've had to change faces, and they've had to build new stars really quick and pivot really quickly. And boy, they got their work cut out for them this time, man, because they're losing people that they've never had. They've never lost the quality of people that they're losing right now.
And it was said on the Observer stuff, and it's true. Dave, his lead story last week in the Observer was that the top guy in Japan has never went to America. And that doesn't mean that people didn't go on tours, and that doesn't mean that these people didn't travel, but he left the company. The word is that he came and he did those little AEW mini tours and everything. And he talked to people and he said, you're making what to do what, how much? And who can blame him, right? Especially because you want to talk about somebody that's literally done everything they can do in a company. The interesting thing here is going to be, and look, it's very selfishly because I want to see him stay in the Tokyo Dome, and we don't know if we're going to get that in WWE or not. But my gosh, dude. If we get a WrestleMania with Kazuchika Okada on it,
gosh,
dude, dude, and so this is really exciting. This is as close to how it felt to when the Bucks and Kenny were free agents, and we thought Kenny Omega was going to show up at the Royal Rumble,
which he almost,
yeah. This is really close. So when WrestleVote says somebody's coming, we'll know first off that it is Malice or somebody like that, but
Tyrus.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, if he does that to us this year, I'm gonna be so pissed off at him.
That was an all-timer. Big name coming up, and the bad thing is, dude, is Double J is in such good shape now. He looks so good, he can actually work, and he was a disaster in that Rumble.
Yes.
Did we give a shout out to our UK fans?
We did not give them a shout out.
Yeah, let's give a shout out. I'm a UK fan. I think it's a great place, and we want to make sure that we're keeping that active over there. And I know that it's strange when you kind of compare the different kind of outside the U.S. Territories, for lack of better terminology. Look at because I watch CMLL, almost every week. I watch a lot of Japanese stuff, whatnot. But man, I'll tell you what, you see a lot of good looking women in that crowd, man, in CMLL, and they put them on the camera every time. You sure as hell don't see that on a Rev Pro show. I'll tell you that much. When you got a whole bunch of people in the UK that look like they dumped a bag of mashed potatoes over their head, you're probably not going to want to put them on TV as much as you were the sweet-looking Latina chicks. You know what I mean?
Yep. And they're serving gravel sandwiches in the concession stand, brushing their teeth with mustard.
I will give a shout out because somebody brought up a friend of mine that passed away tragically about 10 years ago. That when we were in high school, Mike got me into a band called Pitch Shifter. that I still listen to. I only have one of their albums, but every time I think about Mike from high school, I listen to Pitch Shifter, and they're a UK band, and I, got to give them a little bit of props for that. Thank you, UK, for Pitch Shifter.
All right. Well, we've made it here. It's we're going to kick off a new weekly segment here on the Podski. This is something that we want to do. It's going to be called Fan of the Week.
Fan of the Week.
And I'm pretty sure that we can all agree we're fans. We're all marks. But there's just some people that you run into at a show or that you see on TV that they stand out amongst the rest. And you have to talk about them. We want to highlight them on here. We want you, the listeners, to get excited about it because we want you to tell us fans of the week as well. So you can give us your fan of the week on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Podski, or you can hit us up on Facebook too at the Podski with John Baker. You can leave it in the YouTube comments as well. But you can bury these people, you can babyface these people, give them the rub. It's all whatever you want to do. But we're gonna kick this one off with a good one, and we've talked about this person a lot.
Oh, hang on. Let's give a little bit of story about why we're doing this, right? Because we want to start this off with, you want to put a legend into the Hall of Fame, right? Into the Fan of the Week Hall of Fame. You want to start out with a legend, right? And we talk about like CMLL, right? They got, Black Taurus. Well, I mean, he was in AAA too, but, Black Taurus is a bass. They talk about him being a really good bass, right? Ringo Loco, really good bass. I think we want to start this thing out with a bass god right away and get somebody into the Fan of the Week Hall of Fame that deserves it. And we want to put an icon in, man. Put an icon in right away so that we give credibility to the whole thing. And I really think this guy is he's the one, man. He's the guy we've been talking about for almost a year. You got to put him in, man. Fan of the millennia. This guy.
This particular fan, we ran into so much at WrestleMania weekend, Andretti and I, when we were at WrestleMania in LA. So without further ado, the first induction into the Fan of the Week Hall of Fame, and our very first Fan of the Week, is none other than Ponytail Patterson. And if you're on YouTube, we'll put him up there. This guy, I'm just gonna let Andretti, the Toast of the Coast, take this away, because this guy interacted with him immediately upon our very first show that we had at WrestleMania week. This was on Wednesday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
This was
Wednesday or Tuesday.
This was Wednesday night at 4. This is the very first show that we were doing at WrestleMania week. It was a Pandemonium Wrestling, and we were not even in the building for 5 minutes, and this guy approached us right away.
He came in hot, brother, that guy. So it's me and you and George. My buddy George that I coached with was with us. And we're just a couple cool guys hanging out, man, in the club, right? And we're leaning against the railing, and we're just kind of hanging out, surveying the scene. And George is wearing a Cornette shirt, and here comes this motherfucker with a ponytail, and just starts talking shit right to us. There were three men who were in much better shape than him. 3 men in much better shape. That all of us could have slaughtered this guy. The dude walks right up to George, right to all three of us, and just starts running his mouth about Cornette.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, what are you doing? We were so caught off guard by it. Then he was like pointing at us all night.
Dude, it's like a cat that rubs themselves all over your legs. You know what I'm saying? They do that to show you I've been here, just in case another kitten wants to walk around. And so the fact that you guys got and told and finger wagged upon entry meant that homeboy wanted y'all to know that he was around these trees. Okay, you're lucky you didn't get sprayed. You're lucky you didn't get peed on. That's what I have to say about that. I wasn't even there, but that's just my cheap seats point of view.
This guy immediately came up and gave George the middle finger and said, "Fuck that guy." we literally just got to the show, and that is what that guy did immediately.
We were in there for 30 seconds.
What?
He was at
What an intro!
we saw that guy for the entire week. He was at
everywhere. Everywhere we went, we ran into Ponytail Patterson.
He sat front row for GCW every single show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. If you guys would have went and left the hotel room and then went and saw him in the lobby sipping coffee, just like putting a newspaper back up over his face.
Dude.
Nelly.
The Thursday.
This guy was on his phone for every show.
Yeah.
He didn't talk to hardly anybody. He was not dressed well. At one point, he looked like Ponytail Patterson's head on the Brooklyn Brawler's body. Is the best way I can describe what he was wearing.
He's probably sitting there tweeting to Jim Cornette the whole night.
Dude, so for context of this guy, we went to the Santino Bro show, and that was at 11 a.m. or 9 a.m.
I think, yeah.
We came back for the midnight show, which was for the culture, and he was still in the same seat at midnight.
Yeah.
Call that commitment, fellas.
All day at the Ukrainian Center, dude, camped out. Just camped out.
We call that commitment. That is commitment.
That is commitment. Holy cow. But that is the
Well, hold on. We saw him at the Hitchcock.
Oh, the Hitchcock.
Because he was up in the crow's nest with that woman that kept changing shirts. Remember that?
T-shirt lady. We got a big T-shirt lady. She's got to be another fan of the week. We don't have any visual of her, but T-shirt lady had a T-shirt for every single superstar that came out. She was wearing a Kenta shirt at one point, switched into a Switchblade shirt, then did another switch to a Tanahashi shirt, I believe.
Something.
She did 4 shirt changes in one show.
Yeah.
Made in Japan. I love it.
It was like when Foley came out 3 times for the Rumble.
That is incredible, dude.
That
is incredible.
We're gonna see some people at WrestleMania this year that were.
This is why I keep telling you guys, like, you gotta go to these local shows, man. Like, you got to try to go to these either GCW, or if we can find something even more local than that to hit up on Friday night, dude. We got to do it, because this is where you see insanity in the crowd. It's unbelievable.
Oh my, yes, it is fantastic. But that is fan of the week. So I hope you all enjoyed that. We're going to keep that as a regular weekly segment here on the Podski. So send in your fan of the week. And maybe it'll make it here on the Podski. So for the main event today, we're doing the Forgotten Royal Rumble. It's Royal Rumble 2004, and we'll get into why it is the Forgotten Rumble. I've been saying it here. It's the Forgotten Royal Rumble, but no one really knows. If you're listening, you don't know why. If you don't have any context of why this is the Forgotten Royal Rumble. So before we get into any further of that, we're gonna throw it to Mongoose, and he's gonna give us the big dates here on this show.
So we watched the 2004 Royal Rumble. Took place January 25th, 2004 at the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia. Apropos, because we will be main eventing that scene in a couple of weeks here for for WrestleMania 40. This was in front of a sellout crowd of 17,289 fans that paid $1.1 million, which we got to stop for a second, because we are talking about a $1.1 million gate for a Royal Rumble in 2004 dollars. And how big of a deal did they make of it when AEW cleared $1 million gate 3 years ago? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And that was in 2021 dollars or whatever. So big time business here. The show itself, by Observer readers, 34.3% thumbs up, 25% thumbs down, 40.6% thumbs in the middle. Match of the night overwhelmingly was the Royal Rumble match, which had 408 votes. Shawn Michaels and Triple H in the last man standing had 55. Worst match of the night, Ric Flair and Dave Bautista versus the Dudley Boys, 358 votes. Brock Lesnar and Hardcore Holly, 74 votes. And Shawn Michaels and Triple H at 20 votes.
So we got a really interesting card here. And typically with any of these Royal Rumbles, majority of the undercard is short matches because obviously the main event is the Royal Rumble, and that's usually a match that takes about an hour of the show anyways. So this show the show kicks off with the Dudleys versus Evolution, which is in this form of Evolution is Ric Flair and Batista. This is a tables match for the Raw tag team titles.
I need to say really quick, just to be upfront and 100 with our audience here. So we typically record Tuesday or Wednesday, and I got word we were going to go on Monday yesterday, which is fine with me, man. I'm here to party, Mongoose, me and the Mongoose flock, we're here to get down, right? But having a 6-year-old and not trusting any 2004 WWE show to be on television while she's around, I didn't want to watch with her. And, shoot job gets in the way. And then we had some athletic stuff that we had to go to this evening. And so I watched an hour and 40 minutes of this show. And that meant that I did not watch the Rumble match. And I watched the wrong hour and 40 minutes of this show, dude.
Yes.
like I absolutely watched the wrong hour and 40 minutes of this show. So I can't wait to bury the shit out of this undercard. Before we get into it, the one thing that I do need to say, and this may be more appropriate at the end of the show, but I wanted to bring it up front because I did give the Observer numbers, and so I did a little bit of reading into the issue that week. For everybody that says, and when I say everybody, I mean like your Bruces and Bischoffs and whatnot that talk about how Dave Meltzer makes stuff up. In the first paragraph of that show or that Observer, he says the WrestleMania matches seem to be Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Benoit in a 3-way, The Rock and Mankind versus Randy Orton and probably Dave Batista, The Undertaker returning as his old gimmick versus Kane. Like he ran down Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. He actually said for the SmackDown title at that time, which I actually want to go back and read in between now. You read the music between the notes now that we're going to do that next show.
Yeah.
Because I want to see how that changed. But dude, this guy nailed match. And it included The Rock coming back, teaming with Mick Foley. It had Shawn and them in the 3-way. Like, get out of here, man, that this guy just makes stuff up. Like, that's so irritating, dude, because he nailed the Rumble card on February 8th or whenever that came out. And I was taken back by that. So I had to put that out there really quick. All right. Before you go into the first match here, John, you and Andretti, can I say this out loud? Maybe you guys agree, maybe you don't. The Dudley Boys are, first off, I feel like they have been the opening match in every WWE pay-per-view between 2001 and 2005. Like, it's just all, get up, drop the bombshell, so the crowd goes all crazy. And the Dudley Boys suck.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not a fan of them at all. I don't know why.
I thought that I was watching this match and just being a hater against the Dudley Boys. And then it's over and I'm like, wow. Like, I really wish that I just fast forwarded the first 10 minutes of this. And then it got -1 star in the Observer. Now, I would not give it a -1 star. Wouldn't have gone that far. No, I would have given it a star and a half. But my God, man, you want to talk about people that, and look, they were over. That's the thing.
Yep.
They were, it's not like they weren't over, man. Those people were going nuts. But holy cow, you want to talk about something that just, I like you see it with 2024 eyes, man, and you didn't age well. Go ahead, John.
They're going to be one of those teams that, it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out with them because, like you said, they haven't aged well. And when you go back and watch their matches, you're going to be underwhelmed by it. I'm telling you, man, I hate to say this, but I'm going to be a heel even with this, man. You go back and watch a lot of the ECW stuff in general in today and go back and watch it, just for what it is. You're probably not going to think it's as good as what it was when you were 18 years old.
Yeah, agreed. I didn't even really watch ECW. It was a little bit before my age bracket, but I've tried to go back and watch it, and I'm like, I don't get I mean, yes, I can watch it, I can enjoy it, but it's not like I gotta watch ECW.
The problem is, John, is you're not 14.
Right.
Like, and not only not 14, you're not 14 without the internet.
Yeah.
Like at that time when you were 14 and the internet was only used for instant messenger, because if you tried to click a real player video clip from mtv.com to see a 30-second clip of something, you were waiting for 9.5 hours for that thing to load. Okay. So there was no streaming. There was none of that. And so the fact that you had young men, which is what this all was, obviously, it was the whole Attitude Era was built off of, 12 to 28-year-old men that were able to see dudes that could say the F word and would bleed and hit each other with stuff. We never saw that stuff before, man. And now, like with the internet, especially, and how ubiquitous everything is from, and I don't mean to be this tropish and daddy, but like from sex, violence, profanity, blah, blah, blah. Like it's so mainstream that that ECW just seems tacky.
Yeah.
Like it does. And because the work isn't good. You know who sucks? Balls Mahoney. Not any good.
Balls catching a spray in a Royal Rumble show.
Honestly,
Like-
man, the Dudleys they're not it, man. And I hate to say it, I know people like him. I know, like you said, they're over. They ain't it.
And what sucks is that they let off all of these early 2000 shows. Every time you start a pay-per-view, you
Yep.
Oh, and it's just like
Another thing about them, nobody puts me to sleep on social media quicker than Bully Ray, dude.
oh, I can't stand that guy. He's worse now than ever.
Worse than-
My favorite thing about Bully Ray still is him insisting that he's going to be the guy that puts Flip Gordon over. And all he did was try to get himself over and made Flip Gordon less over after a year-long program. And now Flip Gordon isn't even with a major promotion. Flip Gordon probably fell so far from the Bully Ray program that he reenlisted back into the military. He said, "Just give me his pension, bro. Just give me this pension.
Give me the pension."
Oh my
Get
god.
back on active duty, man. I don't even want to be a part of this. This God. He had, the last time I saw Flip Gordon was whenever he did the NWA pay-per-view, whenever we were watching Power every week there, whenever Cornette was calling commentary.
Jeez, that's been a long time. Good
This is
lord.
whenever me and Billy were geeking out over Power because we love Ricky Starks and we love Eli Drake.
Now look at him.
Yeah.
I was going to say, who are those two nerds?
Yeah.
But this opener is like 3 minutes of just blah.
Yeah.
Like it and then Coach basically stole this match from all four of these guys in the ring. And I don't think there's a better moment than him at the end after Evolution wins. And then he's like, yeah.
All winded, yeah.
Like, what the hell was that? He put on his best performance.
Imagine having Ric Flair, Dave Batista, and the Dudleys in the ring, and Jonathan Coachman is the one you're trying to get over here.
You got to send the coach down there to save it.
Oh my gosh, man.
Send the coach down there, damn it.
What a disaster, dude. And there's worse matches, but I'm telling you this, and this is the God honest truth. We watched that show from one of the Money in the Banks here recently, and I saw like Kelly versus whatever, one of the other blonde pinups that they had that fake wrestled, and it was a better match than this one was. And this had Batista and Ric Flair in it.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not good. Then,
Hell of a start here.
Hell
of a start here in the Royal Rumble.
It was Kelly and Brie Bella.
Yes, that is who it was.
And that match is absolutely better than this one.
Yes, it was. It truly was, because Mrs. Mongoose, when they came out, stopped, and instead of going upstairs and doing whatever she was going to do, said, "Actually, I want to see this," like to watch the train wreck. And she was like, "Oh, that wasn't bad."
Yeah, Kelly took a bad bump in that match. I forgot about that.
And dude, if she and she wouldn't have thought this was any good. I can tell you that much. Should have seen Dave Bautista's sun tattoo on his belly button and random Chinese red characters on his arms and said, why is this guy wrestling with this old man versus these fat guys in football jerseys?
So, in other words, go back and listen to our Money in the Bank retrospective and skip this match because it was the drizzling shits.
God.
But that leads us to, there is a Cena backstage segment where he does a rap, and it's with Josh Matthews. And I know that Mongoose had something to say about Josh Matthews' fit.
Yeah. No one looks more 2004 than Josh Matthews. Dude, he has on a button-down shirt that has cuffs that start right below his elbow and extend the entire way to his fingertips. They're the longest cuffs. If he rolled a cuff up of the shirt, he'd be wearing a tank top, dude. So he has this going out shirt on. He has frosted tips. He has a pinky ring. Like you want to talk about somebody that they saw somewhere and said, bro, you are so 2024. We need you to work with us. Like he is the male version of like a Sable or something in 1998. Do you know what I mean? Like they picked him to be like, oh, you're an it boy. Phew. And the thing is there's a capsule in time where if you want to see what 2024 looks like, or excuse me, 2004 looks like, watch this and look at Josh Matthews.
Yeah, then
be happy that it's 20 years later.
Drowned in champagne, and I don't think we saw him the rest of the night, did we?
No. And Ric Flair blinded himself with champagne. But
That was a bad Flair promo too, man.
That was bad. But speaking of blind, it leads us into this next match with Jamie Noble and Blind Nydia versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight title. And I've never been more happy to see this because, for context, Blind Nydia, Jamie Noble and Blind Nydia, just Nydia in general, they were like a trailer park, like character love, whatever you want to call it, whatever they were.
Redneck hillbillies with like trailer park rednecks.
They were just trailer park rednecks that would just, super grossly tongue kiss all the time.
They were they were the welfare version of Edge and Lita before Edge and Lita. And so back in October, so this is obviously in late January of 2004, but the whole way back in October, Tajiri and Jamie Noble were having a cruiserweight title match, and Tajiri had the black mist, which we all can recognize as that's way more devastating than the green mist, and he spits it in Nydia's eyes, and it renders her blind. So in that time frame as well, Jamie Noble and Nydia came into money, so that is also the reason why she's wearing this black fur coat, and she's blinded on her way to the ring. And when I saw this, I cackled laughing because all of that flew back into my memory, and I got so happy at this. This is, I don't want to say that it's because it's obviously a spoof on people that are blind, but and that's not funny or anything, not to make a joke of that, but the way that they played the character and knowing the context of it, and the way that Jamie Noble was using her in matches to just stick her in places where she acted like she had no idea where she was, and then it would somehow get Jamie Noble to win, was just great.
I was with Mrs. Mongoose on this one, and they come out, and she says, "What the bleep is this?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, honey, because you just said all that, John, and that made it come back to me. I didn't know what I was watching. Besides, Nydia has a fur coat on and is blind." And I said, "Well, here's the deal, honey. The blind girl, who is the trailer park lover of the guy in the jean shorts, is going to cost Rey Mysterio the match." And then she immediately said, "Isn't that guy still wrestling? What's he doing?" Which is Rey Mysterio. And so my immediate guess was, oh, she's blind and she's still going to be able to see enough to trip up Rey Mysterio. And then at the finish, when she grabs JB Noble's foot, I exploded. I exploded, man, because I wasn't ready for that. And then he's just yelling at her and berating her. And Mrs. Mongoose, she believes in all the things that are true, virtuous, and right. Like don't talk that way, which I do too, man. But also, this is 2004, just literally trash wrestling. And so I was all in on this thing, dude. It's a shame because these two could have had a hell of a match, and they did work really well for the 2.5 minutes that they got. But I actually had way more fun in this one than I did in that first match. That's for sure.
I've always been a big Jamie Noble fan, and that guy can work his ass off, man. I loved him in WCW, loved him in WWF. He's still working there today, man. So hats off to him for making a career backstage and being able to be a producer and do his thing. But when she came out
Security.
with that freaking pole in the sunglasses, I almost fell off the couch, dude. I was like, oh shit, what the hell are we doing with this? And then when she grabbed his foot, I exploded laughing. And I mean, the sell job that Noble did on the 619 is also really great. That was really really cool to see that.
Yeah, it
Did you
was-
think the same thing though? Like because John obviously this all triggered John's memory bank. Did you think the same thing I did though? That she's going to obviously
Oh, of
she's going
course.
to
Yeah, of
trip
course.
Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting about Noble is I know he's from West Virginia, and I looked up on the map to see where he was from. He's from Hanover, which is pretty much like the farthest place you can get in West Virginia from anywhere else. I mean, dude, we're talking like an hour and a half from a city in Hanover, man. It's down on the border, pretty close to Kentucky. I mean, that place. I mean, hats off to that guy.
Man, John, I don't know geography. Never mind.
Hats off to that guy.
I can teach you. I could help you. I could help you do point slope formula though. Find a slope of a line.
But needless to say that this match,
Martinsburg was what I was thinking about. Never mind.
think about Martinsburg.
Shout out Martinsburg.
This is the match that should have led off the show. They should have just got rid of that tag match. Or should have just started the show with this, and I probably would have exploded if right after the pyro they go to Blind Nydia strolling down the ramp. The next we got Eddie versus Chavo, and this is a match that had some heavy storytelling in it, mainly because Eddie and Chavo, they were the tag team champions. They were Los Guerreros. They were, basically owning the SmackDown tag division, and Eddie was U.S. champion. And in a matter of weeks leading up to the Royal Rumble, he not only lost the U.S. title, but then he lost the U.S. title. Then he lost the tag titles to the Basham Brothers, which the Basham Brothers we're going to talk about when we get to WrestleMania, and maybe I think on No Way Out show too. But
real quick, John, are you familiar with the Super Nintendo game Super Punch Out? Are you familiar at all?
no,
I didn't realize then, and it just hit me that the Bashams are Nick and Rick Bruiser.
Yeah.
That it's like, John, I will send you pictures that you can put onto the tube here so the audience can see the non-Super Nintendo audience can see here. They are Nick and Rick Bruiser, dude. I was blown away. I forgot the Bashams existed, first off.
right?
And then when I saw them, I was like, wow, there's Nick and Rick Bruiser. Go ahead.
You know what I remember about the Bruisers? That noise.
Dude,
all the time.
and who's the chick that's with them? Because I remembered seeing her.
I'm pretty sure Shaniqua.
That's her name.
I'm pretty sure.
What you talking about? Booker T's.
No,
Booker T's
that's Charmel.
Sure. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't. I think you're right. I think it is her name.
Completely forgot about her. When I saw her, I remembered her. Like, dude, I mean, tall, jacked, like a super look.
Yeah,
But I was like, who is this person? And then, they didn't like bring her up again.
Yeah.
yeah, she was.
I don't know.
Yeah, she was on Tough Enough with Jackie Gata.
Okay. Who also makes
Okay.
at this Rumble match or
Okay.
during pay-per-view.
Yeah, so they lost the tag titles to them, and then that kind of led into like Chavo turning on Eddie, and basically they led into this match, and then Chavo Senior's out there. Like, I don't know. This was a weird match. It was quick, but it was built in with like Eddie doesn't want to take out his nephew, and he's like torn about it. And then whenever he does decide to do it, he fully pulls the trigger and goes almost too far for a baby face like Eddie Guerrero at this time, because we know that he's going to get this title opportunity at No Way Out 04, which we're going to talk about that show in a few more weeks. But weird. It was a good match for as quick as it was, but it was just like, why did they do that angle afterwards? Felt too much.
Dude, honestly, I skipped almost all of this match because, look, hats off to Chavo Guerrero, man, for making a career after wrestling in Hollywood and training people and doing everything he did for Iron Claw and all that stuff and Glow and everything, or whatever it is. But that guy puts me to sleep, man. Chavo just puts me to sleep, and even when he's in there with Eddie, I can't even focus.
So here's what happened with me is that I watched the entire package to this.
Yeah.
And got really excited.
Right.
I was like, dude, this is awesome. Eddie and Chavo on a pay-per-view. Like I'm thinking 12 minutes, 13 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying? And that I'm thinking this is at least 3.5, 4-star match. No doubt about it. And like you said, John, it was the story didn't want Eddie to go all out. And then by the time they started to get going, they cut it off. It was over because they needed time for the post-match angle, which I didn't think fit. I mean, I understood it. I did, and only seeing the video thing in front of it. But the problem was that, and then whenever I was watching the video stuff, that was something that did come back to me, was the bubbling thing with Chavo and Eddie. And it's just like, man, that was their pay-per-view blow-off, and that sucks.
Yeah.
That was a big letdown, man. And for the whole thing to be more about the post-match angle, which actually didn't get Eddie more over as a babyface, I thought was very WCW. That felt like something we would have seen more on Road Wild 97 or 98 than something that we should have seen in a Royal Rumble leading to a Mania match. Do you know what I mean? Like I that was way more about the post-match angle that I didn't think was very good anyway, and I didn't like it. Like Dave gave this one in the Observer 2.5 stars, and I would have said 3. And the reason I would have said 3 is that I thought the in-ring work was good. But I'm assuming that the doc came because of the reasons that we just laid out, and I'm not mad at him for it. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's a really fair rating.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. Like, I was like, because I'm glad that you said about the video package. The video package like really pulled me in, and I was like,
The video package was
this is gonna be good.
The match. Yes.
Yeah, that's what kind of sucks too. Is that you're absolutely right. The video package was way better than the actual match itself. And then we get into the WWE title match, and this is with Brock Lesnar and Hardcore Holly, which this is the most obscure title match that I think that we've ever talked about here on the show.
Look, man, for him being out for 18 months and coming back after an injury, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, and this is such a short time, and this is whenever Brock had given Hardcore Holly a power slam, and he messed it up, and that's what broke Hardcore Holly's neck.
Well, so here's what what irritated me about this one is that it was because Bob Holly sandbagged him.
Yeah.
Because Bob Holly has to prove something to young people for some reason. And nobody deserves to have their neck broke, man. They don't. And that's, I'm not saying, but I am saying, like, be a professional, please. Like for the rest of time, be a professional so that things like this don't happen.
Yeah.
That was what, like, I was in seeing that, it actually did come back to me. And it was like, oh, dude, he's sandbagging Brock. What is not going up for this move? And you got dropped on your head. No one deserves to get dropped on their head, man. And I don't care who you are, where you are, what you're doing, but be a professional, please. Because this is the same guy that smacked the shit out of, literal trainees on MTV. And I know that producers probably told him to do it and stuff, but I don't like this era of WWE a lot for that reason. This is the JBL breaking Blue Meanie's face. This is the Bill DeMott stuff. Like that's to me, this is really gross and grimy. Like just from that old guard, let's show you how to do it. Whenever we're at a point in time where there's so much money that could be made with these great athletes, that what are we doing, man? Like, I think that this is as unbecoming as the stuff that they did with like the bra and panties matches, just in a different way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just it's gross to watch to me. Seeing that unprofessionalism.
Yeah, you're not wrong about any of that.
No, I agree. And this match doesn't make any sense at all, because you'd think that this is Brock Lesnar and this is Hardcore Holly, and they're going to go out and beat the piss out of each other, and they just proceed to grab rest holds for 8 minutes.
Well, the problem is, John, is that it's Hardcore Holly.
Well, that too.
And no offense to Hardcore Holly, but like, you ain't it, bro. Like, you're Hardcore Holly. You're not a main event guy.
Yeah.
And he's in the main event because he got his neck broke.
Yeah.
And that sucks too. like all this isn't any good. And the video for this actually was decent. But yeah, this match.
Plus the video made me feel like Hardcore Holly had a chance to go out there and get a win over a guy that injured him. I really thought that the video package was really good.
Yep, yeah. And all he ended up really getting was a full Nelson.
Yep.
You get a great trailer and a shitty movie, man. This is what ends up happening with a lot of these matches.
Twice in a row.
Yeah. And in this match, apparently this match was cut in half. This was supposed to go double the time, but they cut it in half because they wanted to give more time for the last man standing match.
Well, thank God they cut it in half. I didn't want to watch any more of that.
Exactly. So Brock Lesnar.
You imagine had there been 16 minutes, dude?
I know.
Who the hell's watching 16 minutes of Hardcore Holly laying on the freaking mat?
So, in true fact, to no surprise, Brock Lesnar retains here. And I don't think we ever see Hardcore Holly ever again after this. I don't even remember Hardcore Holly after this at all.
I don't know.
The sun keep rising and setting, tides came and went, like life went on. We were okay.
Yeah, that is true. But in the main event of the undercard, basically, is this Triple H, Shawn Michaels last man standing match. And this is coming off the heels of their Armageddon, the 3 stages of hell match. So how do you best a 3 stages of hell than a last man standing match? And this was a great feud that carried over years, and I don't believe it gets paid off until later in the year at Bad Blood 04, I believe, is where that kind of ends for a while in the Hell in a Cell match. But this damn feud continued to WrestleMania. It continued into the summer to Bad Blood. Like, they've been doing this for 2 years now. Shawn came back at SummerSlam 2002, won the Elimination Chamber shortly after at Survivor Series 02. Like, I don't know why they just I mean, I understand why they were squeezing so much juice out of it, because it's Shawn and it's Hunter, and Hunter was at the top of his kind of the reign of terror, and Shawn was on his way back as a redemption story and all that. But I don't know, this match was really good, I thought.
Yeah.
Except the damn ending. They shit.
It was a lot bloodier than I thought it was.
They bled like pigs.
I'll tell you what, man. This is, and John, we are opposite ends of the paradigm here.
Okay.
But this is on display. Shawn Michaels carrying a dude to a match that was way better than the dude that he was wrestling was given. And it's just because this is Triple H just post groin stuff.
Yeah.
He's still a little puffy. Do you know he's in better shape, but he's still a little puffy. He's moving slower than he normally does. And dude, his offense and everything is good. And he did a great job of being the rotten, brooding, just big strikes heel. Yep. But dude, Shawn just acting like he gets shot in the face when he gets punched. Yeah. And when those chair shots come in, like, you just think, oh my God, like Shawn sold here. Shawn's overselling here was the exact opposite of his overselling versus Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like, the Hulk Hogan overselling was to literally put over the cartoon character.
Right.
But this was like peak Shawn oversell of, Oh my gosh. Like I think Michaels absolutely made this match. And I do have a soft spot for Sean. Obviously, he's like my favorite ever. But just watching this, I over and over kept thinking to myself, like, dude, Michaels is the best.
Yeah,
He's so good at this, you know?
really is.
But you know, and I'll tell you this, you know, when you said about when Nydia came out with that fur coat
Yeah.
and all of the storyline came back to you,
Yep.
I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought Triple H was going to retain. Triple H hit him with that pedigree, and I thought to myself, my mother of God, Sean's kicking out. He's going to sweet chin music, and then this match is over.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. Like I saw this 20 years ago. I didn't remember that, but like it's just like, you know, memory, whatever, memory hold me there that, oh, yeah, this finish sucked. Those fans weren't happy.
Yeah, the fans booed him out of the building. They really booed earlier in the match whenever they teased the spot where Sean was going to throw Triple H onto the on the Spanish announce table, and then they didn't give it to him. Like Triple H just fell off the side of the table. Sean's Sweet Chin music at the end, whenever they did the double count out, that was so good. And even right before that, during the comeback, whenever he nipped up, oh, oh, that was so good. Sean was on his shit that night.
I and look, man, it was what it was. And I understand the storytelling of how we get there and everything, but I don't understand. Again, watching the video package, right? 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, and this is Hunter's best friend. Like, if you would have had Sean hit that sweet chin music, but then fall on top of him,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Fall on top of him. So then they both get counted out, but Sean had him pinned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that little bit. Why am I able to think of that? You know, because that to me, like once that happened, I was like, dude, if Sean hit it and then fell down on top of him, they could have counted them both out, but he could have said, Hunter, I had you pinned.
Yep.
I deserve to be in this match.
Right.
Like you were beat.
Yep.
I don't know.
And
That was my complaint. No, obviously that finish was dead, but I think that would have made that finish matter more. The fans would have been screaming like it. I don't know.
Yep. Obviously, they carry this feud to WrestleMania 20, and then the winner of the Royal Rumble that we'll be talking about here in a second joins them in the first ever triple threat match to main event WrestleMania. But yeah, so we get Bischoff and Heyman. They get into a tussle in the ring to start this, and this is all just to kind of set up, Sheriff Stone Cold to come out and put Law and Order back into place, and basically just to get Austin on camera. So he comes out and stuns both of them, has a beer bash.
Sheriff Stone Cold's a great character, man. This is a great character. He's popped me over and over again when we've seen these retro shows.
Yep. And then that leads to the big backstage interview where Goldberg is being interviewed as the 30th entrant. He won the 30th entrant as he won the Raw Battle Royal. And it gets interrupted by Brock Lesnar. And then obviously this sets up their big WrestleMania angle. And that carries into the Royal Rumble match. So we're here at the main event. We're here at the Royal Rumble match. It's 15 from SmackDown. It's 15 from Raw. So the brand in fighting is still very alive here. One thing that I thought that was really interesting here is that they did 90-second intervals, not the 2 minutes that they typically do, which I thought made this Rumble move fast, and I liked it a lot. Chris Benoit, he was the number one entrant, and he became the number one entrant he was getting screwed. The video package laid it out very well. I thought this video package was awesome. It told you how
as fast as his John, this is what I saw. Like I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Swim practice. And then once I'm in swim practice, I'm like, oh, this is over. This is an hour-long match, man. I'm done. But this video package is great.
The video package walks you through how we got the number one entrant, then it flips to the other end and shows you how we got the number 30 entrant in Goldberg. And then it gives you all of the interesting characters that are going to be in it. The lower end characters brings you right back in with some other good storyline stuff. It was really well done. And one thing that needs to be noted is that this Rumble was packed with storylines that all led to meaningful things, especially at WrestleMania. So notable superstars, obviously, in this Royal Rumble are Kane, Kurt Angle, John Cena. Well, it's a big show. We got Chris Jericho.
I cut you off really quick, John.
Sir.
I do need to say because you dropped that.
Yeah.
Here's what's crazy is that I was reading in the Observer, sort of like further down the menu where they were talking about, or the menu further down the issue where they were talking about the potential return of Hulk Hogan for WrestleMania 20, and it was noted that Hulk put over Brock huge, but they were pissed because Hulk put over Brock in a way that left him sympathetic that the crowd wanted him to come back, which is literally exactly what he did for the Ultimate Warrior, which is hilarious that it was, 15 years later and it was the same exact deal. But he was supposed to come back and then face Brock at Survivor Series and lose that match because everybody thought Brock should be champion for a long time before WrestleMania. And Hulk wouldn't come back for that match because he wouldn't job to Brock again. And then Brock ended up jobbing to the flipping Big Show.
Yep.
I feel like that when me and Andretti saw that show live at the Pony Lounge, thinking, how is the Big Show the champion right now? And the answer is to give Hulk Hogan double birds from Venice Beach or wherever he was staying at the time. It literally was to just say, screw you, bro. We're giving it to the out of shape guy. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins and your Subway subs or whatever. Yeah. Go ahead.
We also got Booker T. We got Randy Orton, Goldberg, and we have Bradshaw. And this is right before Bradshaw changes his character to JBL. And we also got Ernest the Cat Miller. So I know that this popped Andretti to the moon. So what were your thoughts when you saw Ernest the Cat Miller?
Well, I didn't expect it, number one. And like I was telling you before we started recording, I always knew that Ernest the Cat Miller shows up in WWE at some point. And he's on a couple shows. I never know what they are. So when I do see him, it freaking pops me to Jupiter every time, dude. And he came out doing the same shit he did in WCW, didn't even get boos from the crowd like you would in WCW. Nobody knew who the hell this guy was. Nobody cared. He's out there with some weirdo in a wig, and he's dancing like a maniac. No one cared. Nobody booed. Nobody cheered. And he was dancing for like 26 minutes. And then that was the end of it. They threw out the handler, got thrown out of the ring, and then the cat got thrown out of the ring. And I was like, well, the cat should have won, but if he's not going to win, I guess it would have been funny, if he's not going to win. But he ended up getting thrown out, and that was that. Man, I have always loved the cat. I will always love the cat. I think he's super entertaining. He's super funny. Everything he does is hilarious. The guy, super quick-witted. The dancing is outrageous. Everything about that guy makes me so happy.
What popped me to the moon was that he was using the Funkadactyls music that Tyrus ended up using with the Funkadactyls, and then Taz was singing it on commentary, which made it even better.
So good.
It was so good. So the notable moments from this Royal Rumble, this is the first Rumble since the very first Rumble that there was no entrants that are previous winners. So there was, no matter what, there was going to be a first-time winner of this Royal Rumble. They kicked it off with looking at Mick Foley's empty seat. Sheriff Stone Cold kind of kept inviting Mick Foley to come back to the show or show up at Royal Rumble because Evolution kept beating the tar out of him, and that was where Randy Orton was really establishing the Legend Killer gimmick. And we'll see Mick Foley later on, but they kept teasing that there's Mick Foley's empty chair that Stone Cold left for him. But the one thing that popped me right off the bat was whenever JR called the hurricane the weather alert, and like just deadpanned, oh, the weather alert. And he instantly got thrown out right after that. The other big thing that happens in this match too is that the Undertaker gong goes off right after Kane gets in there. This had been
This is the one thing that I remembered.
Yep.
I was so excited to watch this show to see Kane react to the gong because I knew that was going to happen. The two things I remembered were the gong and Goldberg and Brock. That was it. Obviously, and Benoit winning. I can't. I'm so mad that I watched the Dudleys versus Ric Flair and Batista, and I didn't see the cat. You know, so good at little things like that, and that's Vince at his best, man. That's great stuff.
Yeah, and as for context for that gong and Kane flipping out was that at Survivor Series in November, I believe is when Survivor Series is. That was a couple months earlier, obviously. Vince faced Undertaker in a buried alive match. Kane came out to help Vince bury Undertaker alive, and that killed the biker gimmick. And then this was their on the road to WrestleMania, and Undertaker kept, every time Kane was in the ring, the gong would go off, the lights would go off, the purple light would shine down, rain would fall on his head, weird things kept happening, lightning strikes, and then it was the return of the dead man, and that ended up happening at WrestleMania 20. But yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff in here. There's Randy and Benoit. They were kind of the mainstays. Obviously, Benoit and Randy, they were 1 and 2 entrants into the Rumble. They kind of felt like the mainstays throughout the whole thing up until Kurt Angle came in. Kurt Angle came in at 19, and that's kind of when it felt like the real Rumble started for me.
It's cool that Benoit and Randy end up main event in SummerSlam then.
Right.
You know, you have 1 and 2 in the Rumble. Like, that's clever, too.
It is. Yeah, no, I like that's a great point. Thank you for doing that. The other thing too, there's a fan whenever Rico comes in at 20, there's a fan in the front row that starts hammering an inflatable hammer on the hard cam. He just starts hammering that thing. Shout out to you. You might be a fan of the week here later on. Because that
HOF number 2, bruh.
Yes.
Bless the child. You want to hit the hard cam with an inflatable hammer? Dude, cue scissor fight.
Yes.
Right now. Not messing around and put the hammer down.
He stole his spot, and that's whenever Mick Foley comes down.
That's the question. Is he alive?
No.
How about the chair shot that Orton gives Foley on the outside?
Oh,
that made me freaking cringe, man. Full on blast to the head. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy too. We also have Jericho. He eliminates Christian, and this kind of starts their feud to WrestleMania 20 with Trish Stratus, which ends up being a really good match at WrestleMania that I'm actually like super excited to talk about that one because they have a nice little run there too. Goldberg comes in at 30. He immediately starts hitting jackhammers and spears on everybody. But then at one point, whenever he was in the corner, he just jumps out of what they were doing and sees Nunzio, and he murders that man. That might be one of the best spears that I think he ever had in his WWE run. And that looked like, I don't think Nunzio ever wrestled again after that because that looked terrifying.
I forgot the FBI was in the WWE at this time, because they got referenced earlier in the show about the FBI. That's so funny. Johnny Stromboli, freaking Nunzio, man. All right, I'm in.
Nunzio's music hits and he's coming down the ramp. Mick Foley has Sacco, and he turns around and gives Sacco to Nunzio on his way down to the ring. So not only did he get Mr. Sacco, he got speared by Goldberg when he finally got in.
Hey, we should talk about the bad. Well, it looked a lot worse than what it ended up being. The Cena injury when he landed on the outside,
where he got eliminated. That looked
it looked bad. But I looked it up after I watched it last night. It ended up not being as bad. It was a partial tear. It wasn't a full tear. So he ended up still wrestling on it, and had a bad. I think he hurt his wrist too. I think I remember seeing that.
I think so. Yeah. He ended up going to WrestleMania 20 and going for the U.S. titles in a good match that I can't wait to talk about either. Lesnar does the run-in after Goldberg finishes up with Nunzio. He does the run-in in F5's Goldberg, and then that basically sets up their WrestleMania match. Goldberg gets eliminated by Angle right away. So your final four is Kurt Angle, Will is Big Show, Chris Jericho, and Chris Benoit. So uh pretty much like it happened kind of quickly, I felt. Um Show eliminated Jericho, and then he really the way that he eliminated Kurt Angle, while Kurt Angle had Big Show in the ankle lock, and he just kind of like threw his leg over the top rope, and that's what eliminated Angle. I thought that was pretty creative. And then it comes down to Benoit and Big Show, and obviously this is why that this is the forgotten Royal Rumble, is because Chris Benoit wins. And you can say what you, but obviously we do not condone any of his actions.
That's what you call a tease, brother. You said this an hour and 20 minutes ago. We'll get to why it's called the Forgotten Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I said,
brother John, this is how you audio man. Nice work, brother.
So yes, this is why it's the Forgotten Rumble, because you will see WWE will not talk about this Rumble, but they'll talk about that damn last man standing match. So that's what sucks. And obviously with everything that happened with Chris Benoit, we don't condone any of that. It's terrible. It's awful. I know that some people will be turned off by the show just because we're mainly talking about the Rumble that Chris Benoit won, but I felt like there's not a lot of information out there about it, and who better to talk about it than us three porkers. But this pretty much, I mean, this leads to obviously the first triple threat match that we ever had to main event of WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 20, it ends up being Chris Benoit and Triple H and Shawn Michaels in what is a really good main event, I think, and I can't wait to talk about that one. We will talk about that one. But there is a really interesting note about Benoit here. Benoit only eliminated big men. So he eliminates Big Show. He eliminated Matt Morgan. I believe he did Mark Henry. He did all the big guys, which I wouldn't have noticed that if it wouldn't be for, obviously, there's only one other review out there on the internet that I could find that's in video format, and that was Wrestling with Regret. And Brian mentioned it on their show where he talked about that it was really interesting that Chris Benoit, in an effort to make him look stronger as an opponent, leading him into the WrestleMania, was to eliminate all the big men. I didn't even pick up on it until I noticed at the end. I was like, damn, he only eliminated these big guys.
That's clever. That's nuanced. That's good. Here's the thing. The crazy thing with the observer pitch, and I was thinking about this while you guys were talking about the Rumble that I didn't see that I wish I did after everything that you talked about, is that Dave mentions that there was talks that triple threat, because it was the first ever triple threat, was going to be a ladder match.
Ooh.
And that would have been something.
That would have been something.
Now, Shawn, for some reason in 2004, decided when it was time to blade, he was going to cut himself from ear to ear and just spit as much blood as possible out of his head. And he does the same exact thing in that Mania match. But man, that would have been something. And I am happy that Triple H ended up tapping. Like, that was the only way that match should have ended. And at that point in time, me and Andretti were probably talking to each other saying, Shawn Michaels is only in this match to lose to Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the fact that it was Triple H that ends up tapping there is cool. But the novelty of the man that made the ladder match with a guy that came into super prominence from a ladder match being Triple H, to a guy that also became a credible WWE guy in ladder matches with Benoit because of those Chris Jericho matches.
Yes.
Like that Chris Jericho ladder match, I think that's at a Rumble, isn't it?
I believe it is Rumble 2000.
I was going to say, was it 2000, 2001, something like that? Like, that's an incredible match too. Yeah. So that would have been actually a really cool storyline. The other thing that I wanted to say is that the Dave having Brock and Goldberg for the SmackDown title, obviously that just goes up in flames whenever Brock is going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I didn't even really think about that until like you guys were talking and I was going through. So I look, man, give the devil his due there because Meltzer nailed the Mania card 2.5 months out. And that's not an easy thing to do.
I mean, a lot of the stuff that happened during this time, even though I was still buying figures, a lot of figures at this time. It's all a blind spot, man. A lot of this stuff is just a blind spot for me. And going back and watching it now, it's almost like I can't even remember the context of what was happening before that or after that. So I'm kind of only seeing these things in the moment, and sometimes it looks really good, sometimes it looks really bad. But I mean, it's all just been a blind spot for me with my fandom over the years, for sure.
It's because every show we watched, we were eating all of the CK's wings and things, or we were indulging into delicious Pony Lounge food while some haughty waitress was serving us our stuff. And our concern was way more on does anybody have a chance to get her number than it was who won the last match. Yeah. So that's I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt there. Shout out to the NPC guy that just drove up and down my road for hours and hours from CK's.
He's probably still doing it.
But so that concludes the Royal Rumble 2004 review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We will be back next week. We're going to review this weekend's Royal Rumble. So we're going to jump right up to 20 years, and we're going to be in today's Royal Rumble. That Royal Rumble is on Saturday. So if you're listening to this, it'll be a premium live event on Peacock. Make sure that you download, like, and subscribe. And you follow us on Instagram at @the_Podski. And you check us out because we got a lot of good stuff coming. As we said, we talked about it a lot. We're going to be doing No Way Out 2004, and we're going to cap it off with WrestleMania 20, which is kind of like the pinup of all this. So make sure you be looking forward to that. And thanks to Andretti and Mongoose for sitting ringside today. And with that, we will see you next time on the Podski.